Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good morning. It is going to be a lovely day. Good morning to the one person. Hello. Milk Mike X something. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, so pretty straightforward. Markets just pretty much tanked on the selling algorithm. We covered this all yesterday as well. Said do not be long bias. So anyways, markets are just in a sell signal. We'll go back to being long the stock market when it makes sense. Um, Probably going to be looking for some bottom bouncing back to that green box you see on the screen today. Arguably, that's something I'm thinking of. Um, yeah, I don't really have a bunch of game plans right now, um, to be honest. There's not really any good penny stocks moving today, obviously, because the market's in a sell signal. So whenever the markets go down, there really isn't that many great penny stocks. Not all the time, but essentially when liquidity's leaving the market, penny stocks don't perform as good. So sometimes it's a waste of time even looking around, to be honest. So yeah, we're just gonna do what we normally do, map off a bunch of stuff. But like I said, I don't have a bunch of big game plans right now. And the reason I say that is because we're not starting a sell signal, we're not starting a buy signal. We were doing that all pretty much yesterday. So you saw yesterday I was very active on the stream. That was because the markets were interacting with a bunch of different levels that were important. Now the market is just down on the sell signal. So at this point, it's really just a game of if you're bearish, then you want it to keep going. If you're not, then you want to find a bottom to bounce. But we're not going to be swing long. So pretty much what we're going to look for is lower low, lower high. It's pretty much it until the market goes back into a buy signal. So yeah, you guys know how this goes. We'll just pretty much chill and map off trades as they come and what have you. So yeah, just to re-emphasize some stuff here, right? Market is down pre-market, so something we just pretty much every day is market can bounce back to here and stay down, right? So it doesn't have to bounce back to there. We just mean that even if we do bounce, it could just really just be a bounce to resistance still. So like I said, we're going to remain on the bearish side of the stock market pretty much until the system tells us not to be bearish. So yeah, you know, it's all good, all same stuff. So up here on the top of the market, right? Well, not that high. Yeah, right about there. That's when I noticed that looks like there was some hedging for downside risk in the stock market taking place. And then the next day we enter a sell signal and now we're down. So that's actually the funny thing is that the past couple days we pretty much talked about, hey guys, basically the banks and smart money are hedging the stock market right now, putting on downside risk protection or basically buying insurance for downside protection. And here we are like 2 days later. And if you go look at the articles on the internet, it's kind of funny because the articles on the internet are basically telling us this is like the worst decline we've had in who knows how long. Let's see, stock market news today. Um, I mean, I would have to find the ones that they were printing yesterday, but stock market sell-off, foreclosures jump, new IRS guidelines, right? So Nasdaq and futures dive after bruising sell-off as rate cut doubts creep in. Dow future, Bitcoin falls. We'll talk about Bitcoin in a little bit. Dow plunges 800 points as rate cut hopes fade. Michael something Burry. See what else we got under more news. Wall Street has its worst day in a month as traders dial back expectations for the Fed rate cuts. So, pretty much we had mentioned again right up here on this top that banks were hedging for downside risk. 2 days later, all the news is bearish, obviously. And now they're telling you this is the worst day that we've had in a month. So you should be extremely fearful, right? You should be extremely scared. Um, you know? So it's all just kind of funny to me. So you know, I could sit here and talk, but it's the reality of it is just that the market just goes in uptrends and downtrends. That's it. So um, now we're just on the downtrend side. We just need to get back into an uptrend, right? That's it. So for the time being, it's just a lower low, lower high market until the market bottoms. When does the market bottom? I have no idea, but I do have a bunch of levels that I can find along the way that the market may bottom on. So yeah, we're just basically in the lower low, lower high, bearish news cycle. Stock market's in a sell signal. Algorithms and market makers are basically, hedging things down, if you will. And yeah, that's just how it goes. Bitcoin is now down to 95,000, which obviously you guys already know. We talked about it selling down here. I'll just bring up the daily chart real quick. Delete, well, whatever, some of this stuff. So yeah, we talked about a couple days ago how, Bitcoin's going to sell down into this green box, this being the high side and bottom being the low side. So yeah, pretty much Bitcoin's just in a bear market, as we expected was going to happen. You know, it's all been mentioned here live on the stock market network. Yay! You know, that we would enter a bear market on Bitcoin in October of 2025. It's now November and Bitcoin's in a bear market. Figures, right? Crazy. Just kind of lucky, I guess. So yeah, we're just basically going to be living through the bear market of Bitcoin for some time. So just expect that that's what's going to happen. Do not be surprised if the news tells you that Bitcoin's going down. They're already starting to. A couple articles started coming out, now about talking about how it's in a bear market because now it's down like that 20%, more than 20% from the highs. So now we're starting to see the news transition bearish on Bitcoin in terms of, starting to see that bear market talk and what have you. So we'll see how that all progresses. But so far it's going as expected and as planned. So it's a good and bad because obviously the price is going down. So that means my portfolio is going down, which means I'm not making money in that sense. But it's good because we've been correct for basically 3.5 years straight, maybe even four now. So there's good and bad. So let's just be expecting that Bitcoin's going into a bear market. It's entered a bear market and pretty much going to be in this for at least the next year and a half plus or so. And arguably, we're going to enter a bear market on the stock market going into 2026. So. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's pretty much all my thoughts. Bear market for the stock market coming into 2026. Bear market for Bitcoin has already started. That was meant to start, or at least top, in October 2025. And yeah, so all that so far is kind of working, I guess. So yeah, when something changes in the market, I'll let you guys know, but we're just going to be on the bear side and we'll try to find some little day trades here and there, some scalping opportunities, some pullbacks, and this and that. And I don't know, maybe one of the penny stocks or something pops up today and's good and makes sense to trade. But right now, I mean, I'm not looking at the biggest gainers list, but just one of the simple scanners I use on Thinkorswim doesn't really have. I mean, there's always a couple stocks that always pop up, but I didn't see anything that was at low risk support that I thought made sense myself. So until there is one of those, I probably won't do much of anything on penny stocks. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Steve. Busy, busy chat here this morning. Really busy. Super crazy. Might have to hire some of those bots, some of those bot accounts, you know what I mean? So yeah, we'll just see what the day brings. Don't know what it's gonna bring. One thing it is definitely not going to bring, it's definitely not going to bring you an extremely bullish day. I can almost certainly guarantee that one. Might have a bounce, but it's not going to turn into a bullish market by any means, I don't think. All right, market's just creeping on up. Gonna go to our whatever targets. Like we said, probably we're close to, if you will. Again, we always watch pre-market 30-minute VWAPs on top or bottoms of markets every day. Pretty much what's going to happen is like in this situation, the market's going down. Eventually, it catches its footing, it bounces, and it usually just goes back to about there. All right. Um, and the other thing too is, well, yeah, I'll just keep it at that. But also, happy Friday to everyone. I know everyone's been waiting on the weekend. Everyone's just so tired of the week, and all this, bearish news they just been selling us the past couple days. Well, really just like a day. soon to be maybe 2 days. I know. Everyone just they're exhausted. One day it's market's up, government's gonna reopen, and one day the market's down, and it's all the government's fault, and then we're long the market because the government, and now stock market puts in its worst day in a month, and it's now because Fed rate cuts, and I mean it must be so exhausting chasing news cycles around like that. So yeah, I'm pretty much just sitting here chilling in my office. Um, Kind of waiting for this thing to go up to that green box or as close as possible to it, and then try to reassess things and see if it wants to continue down or if we're just going to kind of continue our bounce. On weekdays, kind of like today, well, I say week because you can see the pre-market's gotten sold into pretty much all morning. When you have mornings like that, it's a little easier for markets like, for example, to shy or not quite get to the level that we have on the screen sometimes. Um, but again, that's kind of just some of those things is what can you do, right? But so if we end up shying the box there, it's like this would be a day for the market to not quite bounce all the way to that box or be very easy just because of the weakness we've seen pre-market. So if we shy, it's kind of expected. Didn't think we'd get it just a straight up easy bounce all the way to that box this morning. I figured they'd probably play some games. Hmm. Let's see. Hmm. 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 Bitcoin hitting our VWAP and now bouncing. Let's see, what does this guy look like? Kind of putting in. Hmm. Well, either way, we got a long way down for Bitcoin for the moment, so it's not like we should get too excited about anything. It's kind of funny. There's actually articles where you have Michael Saylor talking about people, it's short sellers taking down his stock, and I'm just over here giggling because it's for him being the Bitcoin guy of all Bitcoin, it's like he should know better than anyone. It's just straight up cycling in markets. Um, the other funny thing is that once when MSTR blew up to say like 500 something, standard deviation picked the exact top. This was back when I had a Twitter. We posted about how basically MSTR is about the top, and it literally was that exact yellow box right there on the very high. That yellow box was +3, +4 standard deviation or something like that. And I'm like, oh, this is where stocks usually top. Literally predicted the exact top of MSTR. So MSTR actually had too much euphoria and it topped well before the Bitcoin cycle topped. See, like Bitcoin just topped this October. MSTR did it last, I don't know when was that? It was in December of 24, right? November? Yeah, like yeah, basically November of 24 MSTR topped and then just this October Bitcoin top. So MSTR got cooked well ahead of schedule, if you will. But that's also because there was so much euphoria on that market that we blew it up to +3, +4. So it's like, what better move do you want, right? So I'm just kind of giggling because it's funny, Michael Saylor says it's short selling, which I definitely people are short selling the stock, obviously, right? But I mean, his stock was going to go down regardless. You know, hell, his stock was going down from November of last year before Bitcoin even went down. Right? It's because it got too euphoric too quick. So market's just correcting itself. Totally normal, if you ask me. I mean, that being said, Michael Saylor's probably definitely smarter than I. But you know, it's you can't just blame your stock going down on short sellers when the entire market's just getting sauced and tossed. I mean, what else? I mean, let's see. I mean, if Bitcoin does go down all the way to our price target, like 50 something K, then I mean, MSTR is going to be down like 50s. I don't even know. It could be all the way down to like 20. Trying to think. Let's look at Bitcoin real fast. Let's just clean that. So let's see. Could he be all the way down, down? Yeah, I mean, shoot, yeah, you might see MSTR all the way down to like $40. That's why I haven't been touching MSTR, arguably. I have bought some MSTZ over the past couple weeks here and there and traded that. But nonetheless, I would expect we're going to see MSTR get absolutely just sauced. Because obviously, if we think Bitcoin can go down to 50K, then I mean, what would you expect happens to MSTR? 40, 20s? I don't even know. Could also debate if people are front running MSTR ahead of Bitcoin, then kind of like we did on the long move up with MSTR, then it might not be as harsh as I'm thinking. But yeah, I would still expect quite a bit of downside for MSTR. Oh boy. Actually, let's take a look at IBIT. That thing's gonna get rocked. I mean, all of these things are gonna get hit pretty good. Um, BTCS rocked. Time is at 9:16. We still got quite a bit of time till the market opens. Okay, just to make sure everyone's clear, we are not swing long the market. We haven't been for days now. You are, if anything, neutral or bearish swinging the stock market. And in the short term, you can be bearish or long bias, however you want to trade short-term action. Generally speaking, the overall trend's down, so you'll have more favorable opportunities. Obviously, if you bet bearish, you get the point. I just repeat myself every single day. YouTube stream is crushing today. We are crushing. Let's go, baby. I mean, yeah, I watch all that stuff a little bit. Um, yeah, we're actually below it too. So, I mean, I read it the same exact way I would every other. Yeah, I mean, I read it the same way every as I would any 50 SMA system, which basically just says that stock market has taken out the daily 50 SMA this morning. So, basically, if you're a daily 50 SMA trader only, you would read it as such that the market is broken down. So now I would be bearish below the daily chart 50 SMA, and I would be bullish for a back test. And then I would be bullish recovery over. All right. So essentially the market can only do two things. All right. So if you're going to be following a daily 50 SMA, right? Daily 50 SMA is either downtrending or uptrending, right? So from this point, you basically have either the market's going to go down because it enters a downtrend below the daily. If the daily chart's not going to enter a downtrend, then it's going to first go back to it. And if it's not going to enter a downtrend, that means it's going to recover and then it would be going long. So that's really just how I think of every breakdown for every single SMA is it's going to have to either break and go, or it's going to have to break and then it's going to have to back test and then it's going to have to confirm down, or it's going to break, back test, not confirm down, and just restart going up. So yeah, that's what I would think. So in the back of my mind, it's already a long target, right? Because we just already know that if the market bounces, that's one thing the market would probably want to do is test the daily chart 50 SMA. So any single moving average you break down is always going to be a target, if you will. So just like I have VWAPs in that box, those are a VWAP trailing long target. They happen frequently. We'd have the daily 50 SMA there at 66853. That would be a long backtestable target as it relates to the daily chart. Um, so yeah. Hmm. Uh, I don't probably Timothy, I'm not actually sure what you're referring to. I mean, I put yellow lines all over the place. They could be referencing any numerous thing or numerous amounts of things, so no. But yeah, many times there's lines on my charts that are targets and what have you. I don't know exactly what you may have saw on charts somewhere. But again, like Paul or Timothy, one of the best things I could say is we've been bearish. Well, we've been bearish the stock market since that high on that day. We emphasized you're more bearish yesterday when the market actually went into a selling algorithm or a sell move. So, just in general, we are not long biased the stock market as it relates to being on a bullish trend. So, like back here, you see how the market goes over the SMA. That would be a swing long market. Now the market's below the SMA, so this would be down. Yeah, I mean, if it's a daily, I mean, I can go back to the daily chart, but there's not gonna, I already deleted some stuff off that, so it probably won't look the same. I mean, yeah, you may have saw this, right? So if you've seen this and you saw me doing that, that's just me overlapping that 50 SMA. That's all I'm doing. So I'm just taking this line, overlapping that 50 SMA. So when I'm you know, looking at a 1 minute chart or something or what have you, I know where that price point's at kind of thing. So if we come here and look at the SPY, that just tells us that the daily chart, the longer term daily 50 SMA broke down here. So back to here is a daily chart back test, right? That's what that means. Um, yeah. And also, markets getting acceptance below this would be not as good for the market because that would be daily charts accepting downwards. Yeah, that's probably what we're just seeing. Well, it'll be interesting to see what we get today and how the market opens. So, like I said, there's always you can always get a little bit of a better idea when market opens and you start seeing the behind the scenes market internals starting to move one way or the other, if you will. All right. Busy, super busy day here, super busy. I know you guys are like, whoa, don't say too much. Don't say too much. So far, market kind of doing what we had thought instead of going up to said box, just kind of shying. So, yeah, so far doing kind of what we'd think it would do on a day like today. I will be right back. I'm gonna try and go get me a little coffee and I'll be back. Okay, Marky is open. If the market went for a gap and go today to the downside, we'd see it all the way down to 6621, which would be pretty wild. I don't really think it's necessarily going to happen, but you never know. Yikes, more selling off. Who would have thought? Oh no, more selling off. Who would have thought? Oh no, more selling. Aw. Again, right now there's not enough bullishness in the market to really prevent this market from going down. Advancing declining issues are down. The Magnificent Seven are down. The volume is down. The only thing up are a few S&P stocks. So we'll need something else to turn around, whether that be volume, anything, or else it's just gonna go down. No, these things can change. It's not like they can't change. It's not like they can't change quickly. I'm just saying, if you were to literally just take a quick snapshot of the market, I mean, you need like the Magnificent Seven to bounce here, or not here, just in general, right? You want to prevent this market from going down, essentially. Little green there on some of the Magnificent Sevens. Again, starting to get some green in that Magnificent Seven chart that's helping bounce a little bit. Actually, just out of curiosity, we'll see where that daily 50 SMA is at, which is all the way back up there. So again, that would be your daily 50 SMA back test, which is up at 6702s. Uh, this is probably where we just got our pre-market topped out 30 minutes. Let me just get back to my chart the way it should be. Not quite. We're trying to. Pretty close. Again, that pre-market 30-minute volume weighted average price, be that green box. As we talked about, on any given day, it's always going to be a back testable area you're looking for. Just kind of took a second. We had to start. You can see right now, right? If you look to the screen here on the bottom middle or whatnot, have you right here, right? We had red. We need to start flipping these green. And now that our major market cap stocks are starting to see some buying pressure there, you've gotten that bounce, right? So that's what we always talk about. If you're going to prevent selling, you need something to be bouncing, so on and so forth. That being said, we're not even really bullish on the day because we're still below the pre-market 30-minute VWAPs, etc. So pretty much the way this works is as long as it's below here, we don't get the next run up. So we've essentially come back to our back test zone. Now we'd have to continue above that for more action, so on and so forth. All right, pre-market top down 30-minute chart, levels, whatever, just now hitting. Awesome, cool. We can start getting above that, that'd be even better, so on and so forth. Actually, we haven't even hit them. They've adjusted up a little bit, which is normal, so they're actually a little higher than what we're thinking. So again, that's a pretty good idea of what we're talking about right there. You see how we have top down pre-market 30 minutes, etc. The market has come back into him, back tested, rejected away. That's what we talk about, which is basically you're going to have to get above that area for the market to really, try to be moving higher. Otherwise, you're just kind of knocking your head here and it can still roll down. Yeah, I mean, we're still advancing, declining issues going down. Volume still going down. The only thing really helping the market right now is the mega cap stocks. It's the only thing that that is helping for the moment. And this is what we talked about, kind of watching for the counter bounce back towards 30-minute VWAPs, etc., which pretty much are completing, have been completing for the past 5 minutes. Now I don't really know. Are we supposed to kind of take them out and rally the market back up? We'll see. Don't really know just yet. Again, still bumping our head right into that pre-market 30-minute area. Well, very exciting day here. I know. Super exciting. Super exciting. Okay, not a whole lot to say. Market's just kind of doing what we already expected it would do, which is, again, pre-market top down, 30-minute volume weighted average price. Once it finds some sort of support, we're going to backtrack pre-market 30-minute VWAPs, etc. We have now done that, so the next game plan would be essentially first tag resistance metrics here, and then if we can get above, then we might start looking for as well. I think it was Steve actually mentioned that daily V or daily 50 SMA. That's arguably a target up. So um, double check some of the stuff on the VIX. I mean, the VVIX is coming down, VIX is coming down, so obviously markets are bouncing. I mean, we already know that. Can't really say there's too much more we gotta look for. So, I mean, yeah, it's kind of just it. We're right into that pre-market 30 minute. So this is 30-minute VWAP resistance right there. Oh, well, we'll see if it holds, right? So that's where first tag 30-minute VWAP resistance would come in. And then if there's no resistance to be found here, we just basically are squeezing out anyone trying to pick the top here. I'm not picking the top there. Or just any volume that's been short from the pre-market. That's where you could start taking them out a little bit more. But yeah, I'm not selling that top myself. I'm just kind of watching that creep back up. I really wouldn't mind to see the rally continue, or the bounce, sorry, not rally. But anyways, we'll see. If we start to really get aggressive out of here, then maybe we'll bet bearish, but it's too soon for me. We also have a positive MACD on the Magnificent Seven, so those are in a positive trend on the MAC, so it's hard to see the markets go down while those are still bullish. And if we go full blown skippy, yeah, we might look up to that daily 50 SMA for a back test. But we'll give this a second. We still got to kind of see if this can hold or not. It's looking pretty good. Those candles look strong. They look squeezy. It looks like people are caught off sides as far as short selling goes. Daily 50 SMA is about to happen. We've spoken into existence, is the way it seems. Oh, excuse me. I mean, yeah, those candles are just basically chilling, and they're not giving anything back on those candles. They might pause for a second, then they're just pushed up, pause. No one's selling those yet. Oh my gosh, look at that. We just hit the daily 50 SMA back test. Also, Steve, thanks for mentioning that because that helped me. I probably wouldn't have thought about it today, to be honest. But the fact you mentioned it made it a part of today's analysis. Otherwise, I really just would have been looking back up to that green box for the time being. Now, I probably could have figured something out for that, but it definitely helped. So appreciate you. All right. So now that we've done that, what else do we gotta look for? Let's go to SPX. See if we can get another target on the upside that I'm not thinking about. We've just hit the 50% retracement of the gap. There's nothing I would use there. 10 SMAs there. Yeah, I don't really have for the moment. I haven't found when I'm just thinking about some of my stuff that I would look for. I can't say there's any of that there. I've already done that. Previous day's lows, sure. There's always that. Yeah, I don't really what about the VIX? Might be able to use a sell target on the VIX or something. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't know about that one. Also, yeah, now that we're running into the daily 50 SMA, you have to be careful of that right there. First tag metric daily 50 SMA tag. So this would be the first tag back test of the daily 50 SMA breakdown, right? So remember, you broke down the daily 50 SMA here. This is the daily 50 SMA back test. So this is where the daily chart gets to try to confirm its downtrend. So that's the first attempt resistance to keep the daily chart bearish from that. So just saying, that's just how things work when it comes to first tag metrics. So that would be like a good profit take on the long too, if we didn't really already establish that, just in general for like a day trade or a short-term trade, if you will. Bitcoin. YouTube is going crazy today. The YouTube is going wild. Also, it's never a good thing when Bitcoin is trading, excuse me, like the market. Whenever we see the market and the S&P have confluence, that's usually never a good thing. Usually when the market and Bitcoin are having confluence, is because there's fear or bearishness in the market too. Um, when yeah, so I've noticed over many years now that when we start to see confluence between price action of Bitcoin and the market, it's a bad thing, as in that usually markets are bearish, if that makes sense, or more likely to be bearish, or just in general, right? Like when Bitcoin is going through a bear market, many times it's trading similar to that with the market. So I don't really like to see confluence between SPY and Bitcoin. Some people do. I don't know why. I've always witnessed it as a bad thing. I've never really seen a move in confluence and we'd be in like good market situations. There's our resistance coming off that daily 50 SMA. Pretty straightforward. It's just first attempt back test resistance, tag, first metric, etc. So if you scalp that, you could take profit on that first pullback. Then you just could put a stop in at break even. You could put a stop in at highs. You can do whatever you want to do. You could do nothing, you know. So this is what we always talk about is, is if you can find levels and understand how to use levels on first tags, then that's a resistance trade area, right? Now, if you're someone who has to wait for a top to be put in to identify resistance, then it will never work because again, like say you start shorting here, well, who's to say the trend doesn't want to go higher, right? And like blow you out kind of thing. So that's kind of the thing is if you can identify first tag metrics, you can involve yourself on situations like that, and you can be the one to pull the market back. But if you're someone who has to wait for a top or a bottom to get put in to look left, and so like now when you see this low, you're gonna go, oh well, that's support. It's like, well, duh. Like obviously it's support now, right? Or like right here, and you see that red, you're like, oh, like that's resistance. Like, well, duh. I mean, we already made resistance. Who is to say it's gonna stay resistance, right? And then you're taken out. So understand that a lot of times good support and resistance comes on first tags, first tag, first tag, first tag, right? First time you tag an SMA, first time you tag a Fibonacci, first time you tag a VWAP, etc. Chat's going crazy today. Let's see, did we get any change in some penny stocks? Not really so far, all pretty much garbage. Yeah. Wait. Mm, mm, no. Nope, never mind. Well, look at this market, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this market. So crazy, 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 crazy. As the market is a pumping. I mean, yeah, if you look right now at market internals, we pretty much have, oh, sorry. I mean, honestly, it's a lot of these gains are being put on by the Magnificent Seven, but I still don't really see this as a very bullish market. It's just an oversold, short squeezing bounce, if you ask me. S&P issues are down, volume on the market is down, and advancing declining issues are hardly even advancing. The only thing that's really been going up are some of the mega cap stocks. Granted, like we always say, it's hard to sell the markets off when the mega caps are going up, but ultimately this is not, we don't have like a broad market participation on this rally. It's yeah, so we're not getting broad market participation on this rally for the moment. That could change, but most of this has just been mega cap stocks holding us up and bouncing us on an oversold sell off. So I would see this kind of as just really just like an oversold bounce, short squeeze bounce, mega cap bounce manipulation, not a broad market rally bounce. So when we see something like that, it can help you kind of keep your bias in check sometimes. As far as the VIX goes, I mean, VIX, VVIX, they're high in the 23s, etc., pulling back a bit. Neither the VVIX or VIX are in downtrends, anything like that. So this is just, again, oversold bouncing. We don't have confirmation of a breakdown on the VIX or anything like that. We don't have confirmation of a swing long on the market. This is just, again, as we stated already, oversold bouncing in a bearish trend. Let's take a look at the Qs just for a sec. QQQ doing pretty darn good. Whoa. Again, we're also going to be looking for the market to go back up to this green box here that I just put on the screen. That's another target we'll be looking for on the counter side. Um, yeah, I mean it might take a second to get that, but that's something that you got even that's the other thing is it's always a part of the system. Actually that might be wrong. Those might be no, those are right. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say. These are always a part of the system, right? If we're in a selling move, we're always looking at the volume weighted average price of the 30-minute market on that sell move. At some point, what's going to happen is the market will find a bottom and then we will go back to those VWAPs, right? It's just a matter of time, if you will. So that's something else we're keeping on deck and just watching for the moment. Not really watching, we just know it's gonna, where markets will go there. It's not an if, and it's just when. Bitcoin, yeah, 96,000, little bounce on the day, nothing crazy. Time got 958. Okay. Sorry about that. I was responding to some messages. Responding to some messages. Okay. So what I have come up with is that basically, um, well, you see, the thing is, I don't even know. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, basically, we're just looking at all of these right now, all these little areas for pullbacks, which we already did that one. There. And then as far as here. And then honestly, if we re-roll the market and stay in the sell signal, we'll be watching that down there. So those are all three of the zones that we'll be following back down. First two easiest have been hit. Let me double check some other stuff. That's balanced. That looks balanced. That might not be balanced. Let's just see. No, not balanced. So that needs to be balanced at some point. And then this bottom one, balanced. Okay, not balanced. So arguably, market will want to be coming back down to balance some stuff. 15 minutes not balanced. What about this guy? We might have just balanced this one here. That is, ooh. Actually, I think that no, it's close. So, right. Sorry, I know I might be boring, but like I said, once you watch the market every single day of your life, you can't really be that excited about it. Right. So now that we've hit those first two little 1 minute targets down, I'm going to anchor this to the high. All right, we just hit our next target down. I'm going to delete that box. You guys are all good. Sweet. So we did that one. I'm going to take these off. Don't need them anymore. All right, so now we have the market set up like this. Um, Let me just think. Yeah, so 1 minute V. Whoa, not a fib, not a little fibby. Yeah, we got the 1 minute VWAP off the top. So as long as we're below that, this could arguably be a top, right? You know what I mean? When I say a top, I mean it's just in general, right? If this is going to top and not go higher, it would have to stay down. So it would have to be like something like that, right? So that's kind of how the micro chart is set up right now is that's your 1 minute support. This is your 1 minute rolling resistance, and let's see if we stay down. Once we start to, well, hold on, let me just think. Uh, let's see. Yeah, maybe there. Yeah, we'll see. All right, so we're gonna go up and hit this 1 minute VWAP most likely. Ooh, that's pretty scummy. That was scummy. I really thought we were just gonna finish that 1 minute VWAP off there in a second or two. But that candle was scummy. One minute VWAP complete. Target complete. All right, gonna delete that box. Don't need it, as that's now done. Oh boy. Okay, what was I gonna do? I don't really remember. All right, we've got a rejection. Now The question is, do we tank this puppy? Hit him with a good tanker Magoo. Come on, do something cool. That's already a good start. But like I said, we are on a, you can see we're kind of just holding. And actually, I kind of want to add one more VWAP here just in case. Maybe one more just to play it safe. So this is kind of where we're at right now. Like this whole zone is something that we'd have to take out for a next slide. So we do have the potential to take the market from here down to here. We just got to get below this and then whack it. It's definitely possible because we're in a sell signal. So we do have some of the advancing issues on the Magnificent Seven down, but let's see. See how we're just still holding right there? Like I said, it's the only way we go lower is we got to be below this zone right now. So we essentially put in the 1 minute top. We rolled the 1 minute chart down back to support and are not able to break it down, right? It's just holding for the moment, right? All right, and there would be the short-term short sellers squeezed out. And so again, this is why we track uptrending volume weighted average prices, just like you're seeing here. So for me, this bouncing area had nothing to do with this previous dip there, right? I'm not thinking about, oh, the market dipped here, so that's support. That's not even close, that's not how I look at that. I just take the volume weighted average price of all of these pullbacks that got bought up and forced up, and then we use this as a trend support and pullback target, right? And now we know, right? So that's kind of how the system works in a way. I would not be surprised if they top the market here and scam it back down. You know what I mean? All right, too many people chasing short, squeeze them out, then roast it down. That's a common situation we see too. Just like that, market gets clapped right back down. Seeing that scummy play one too many times. Again, market just likes to play games all the time. They like to scheme. What's going on with our new shitcoin? Very nice. Bitcoin. Very, very, very. Alrighty. Yeah, don't really know what else to say. We're just still in a sell signal. Market hasn't changed. We're just doing a little bit of an oversold bounce, and then arguably when this thing's ready, it's gonna roll back down. Maybe not necessarily today, but just in general. Now we're gonna just add volume weighted average price back to this high now. So we're gonna repeat this process. Now we're gonna set the VWAP on the high. And now we are back to the same place we were, which is trying to maybe roll the market down off that high. And now you have 1 minute VWAP trailing resistance, lower high, just above. So the market has two options, which is to go down, break down, or pop back up into said VWAP. And the zones are all still the same. We are currently supported with the box just below. Target box breakdown would be below. Current counter 1 minute scalp back up is up, right? So all these three boxes are pretty much where the markets want to go to. Just like that. As I said, there you go. That is done. Remove VWAP off high. Now we're going to let the market reset. Mm, mm, mm. Ba-da-da-da. Oh, alrighty. Yeah. Wish I had more to say, but don't. The volatility index is still positive. Well, kind of just want to go back to swing long the market, but uh, honestly, what I should have done the other day was add some TQQ or whatnot. But what are you gonna do? Or not, sorry, not not TQQ, SQQ. But what do you got? That would have been an easy one. But whatever. We'll go back swing long the market in sometime. Honestly, I would say I got a meeting coming up soon, so I'm probably gonna be logging off here a little early today, but that's okay. Again, guys, we're just in a bearish market, so we're looking for, like we said, kind of assuming to top the market eventually and roll it back down until we have a reason to believe that we've entered back to a bullish market or the volatility index is signaling us to go for a bigger long move. So there's that market rolling back down to same prices before. We're just going to do the same thing. We're going to repeat. We're going to add a VWAP to that most recent 1 minute high. We're going to anchor it down. We already know that that is going to be the counter trend retrace location for the most part. And our next target down is going to be this 1 minute VWAP box zone on the downside. So if we're lucky and the market just gives us acceptance below, then the price action just sinks straight to the next box down. If we're not lucky and the market is annoying, then it doesn't do that. Yeah, actually, should probably move this one here. We don't really need it. Uh, take this guy down a little bit. All right, there's that 1 minute VWAP tag on the upside as mentioned. That one's done. Just more market pumpeth, I guess, if again, so what we just kind of basically we actually didn't get our total bottom up volume weighted average price, but ultimately you can see we're just holding the bullish 1 minute volume trend from this morning's established low. All right. Again, we're going to be looking for that this box here on the market over the next couple of days. So basically the way we're going to use this is we're going to look for the markets to either bounce into, and then we're going to look for resistance, or we're going to be looking for this to catch up to price, then look for resistance, right? If there's no resistance to be found, we then look for it to transition above, and then we go for a squeeze long. So either way, we'll probably be streaming when that happens or close to. So I'm gonna get ready to rock and roll here and hop into another meeting. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Sorry today was all right. It's not really bad. Just kind of slower in the sense, we don't really have many other stocks to look at this morning. Bitcoin's tanking, right? Kind of doing that. Um, Guess we did call up a pretty good long there, but yeah, nonetheless, gonna rock and roll here. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll catch you on the next one.